Welcome back to my channel, and from analytics, I know that over 90% of you are women, so I think I can be fully confident in saying, dust them off, ladies. It's riding season. Halloween is my favorite season of the whole entire year. I am so excited to be here. Now, I have a specific and certain and very special invitation for you today. If you're up for it, it's super easy. I hope you'll come and play. So I am hosting 31 Baby Boos and Spooky Dudes, which starts October 1st and it goes through October 31st in my Fun Fact Drawing Club. So today I thought I would do one little activity with you and me together. And then if you like it, you're invited to come along for the rest of the 31 days. We're having giveaways. I always do giveaways every single month, but we're doing a Mac Daddy giveaway at the end for this one. If you participate in all 31 days and you just snap a pic and send it to me, I will put you in the drawing with the other people that are doing the same, which probably is not going to be that many people, to win the entire series of my whimsical watercolor book signed, which you cannot get anywhere, as well as a brand new book that I'm creating to accompany this whole 31 days of Baby Boos and Spooky Dudes. So what is it? So it's 31 days of simple drawing and paintings, but it's all done with a fountain pen. Now, it doesn't have to be a fountain pen. It can just be any pen that is water soluble. And that just means it moves when you add water. That's it. And I'll go over the supplies. The only other supplies that are required, I'm just using a water brush. If you hate a water brush, just use a paintbrush and some water. I am using my Pentel Pocket Brush Pen, which is just filled with India permanent ink. So even if you just have a black ink pot and a little brush, you're good to go. The only other thing is a white, in case we need to throw in some highlights. Now, the most important thing actually to get all of that in motion and set is hot press watercolor paper. Hot press watercolor paper is the only paper I use for all of my books. All of my recent 5 whimsical watercolor books, every single one of those drawings and paintings is done on hot press paper. And a lot of people have asked me about hot press watercolor journals, and I've never had one before, so I haven't really been able to help anyone kind of find one out. And even searching hot press watercolor journal Amazon has never given me results. It's so weird. There's a bit of a hole in the market for them. Interestingly, Arctex just reached out literally 10 days ago and were like, would you like to try our watercolor journals? And I was like, not if they're regular. And they're like, but 2 of them are hot press. And I was like, no way, no way. So I'm just opening this. I'm so excited. Other than being hot press, I was also drawn to try these because they told me that they open flat, which is also a really hard thing to find. So this looks hand sewn. It's not as smooth as normal hot press, but it is smooth. The reason I work on hot press is because it's so smooth, and when you're working with things like fountain pens and pencils and fine liners, you don't want that bumpy texture. It makes your drawings harder to do. And before I continue with the video and the cute little tutorial, I just want to look at this paper a little bit more closely. So I actually I'm just gonna come out and say, I definitively do not think that this is hot press paper. So if I see how you can just plainly see all that texture, hot press paper just simply doesn't have any texture. So I really would not categorize this as a hot press journal. And I'll show you just wondering. These are just super recent things that I have just laying around. So this is hot press. I just did this a couple days ago. And can you see how there is just there's nothing. There's no texture. This is a different brand. As you can see, one of my babies, see how there's nothing here. But here, this is an even different brand. You see how it's just flat? I can't get it to show you texture because there simply is none. It feels just like hot press does. You wouldn't even know it was watercolor paper, except that it actually truly can accept water. And watercolors work beautifully on it. Now let's just look at some cold press paper. Again, these are just things I have laying around. And can you see the texture? You know, I don't even have, like, you can see it. Oh my God. You can see it from pretty far away, but no texture. This is very much texture. And it does not feel that, it doesn't feel the same as my hot press. It doesn't mean that's not a good journal. I don't think the paper is not good quality, but there's just, for people that are like me, where like I publish whole books, like I'm super picky when I want it to be the hot press that I expect, and this just simply isn't it. So just in case anyone else is picky about their hot press, I will also though follow up and say I'm one of the very few artists that prefer to work on hot press. Almost every single other watercolorist that I know prefers cold press. So like I said, it's not a negative necessarily. I just want you to be like super aware of the differences, and so you're not surprised if and when you go to buy this journal that it's actually not hot press whatsoever. I can tell though from just looking at it that it's quite absorbent. So I'm gonna give this a little test today, and I will let you know what I think at the end. And then we're going to be doing a Lil Witch in the same exact process that I'm doing for the 31 days of Baby Boos and Spooky Dudes. You can get fountain pens, by the way, for $2. I highly recommend the Zebra brand. You can get all the full color spectrum. I think there's like 8 colors. I bought them a year after year because I always do a drawing club activity every Halloween for fun. And I always use fountain pens, this $2 one, but I bought that pack so many times and I lost the black. So I'm just using my Lamy, but you don't need to buy a Lamy fountain pen. You can buy one of these $2 ones or any ink that smears. Again, that could be a felt tip pen. A lot of gel pens are also water soluble, so just give a little test and that's all you need. All right, so without further ado, last but not least, I have the reference and the supplies list in the Neat Suite for you, for all my Neat Suite members. And just as a reminder, if you do want to join the drawing challenge in the drawing club, you actually get the Neat Suite for free. So if you've already purchased the Neat Suite, but you want to sign up for the challenge, just make sure you email me so we can get you refunded for your Neat Suite payment. I have my journal open, and it does open completely flat, and the pages are perforated, which is nice if you want to take them out, although usually when I'm working in journals I always leave them in. This is my very first page, but you can see the threaded binding here, and I mean the cover is super freaking cute. All right, so I have my fountain pen ready. This is the one I used for the 31 days already, which is filled with black ink, but on a demo with my drawing club, I switched it out to be purple. So I'm not gonna use that one today. I'm gonna keep it true to the whole series, which is just using black ink. This one has this a little bit smaller of a nib than my purple one. So if my marks are not looking exactly the same, it's not very noticeable, but in case you're a drawing club member and you're like, this one looks skinny and different, that's because it's a different pen. And I have this super cute reference sheet next to me, so I'm going to be following. I can't decide which one to do because they're so freaking cute. I think I'm going to do the one in the middle, and I have this available, like I said, in my Neat Suite. I like for my students to always have 2 ways to follow. They always can follow me by pushing play on the videos, and or at the same time we always have a reference, so you have a crutch and you know exactly where I am going as I teach. You can know exactly what to do from looking at the reference and through the video. So with that being said, I'm tucking my little girl over right here. So in the challenge too, we don't use pencil. We just go in. I know it's frightfully scary, but that's okay because it's Halloween and you should be a little bit scared. So I'm gonna start with her hat brim that's chopping across her little face like this. And I am the worst at keeping things small. Like, it's my superpower. Whatever the opposite of a superpower is, that's mine. I can't do anything small. The cool part about this challenge, you can be very sketchy because magic happens when you add the water. So if you are working in pencil right now, you might be tempted to like erase all these double lines. I'm keeping them all in and I'll show you why it doesn't matter. All right, now this hat has a little bit of a thickness. So let's draw that thicker line. It is a little bit more challenging to work on the paper. I'm not sure I would call this hot press paper, to be honest, but it's not overly bumpy. All right, so this step 2 is going to be just this brim of the hat. Can you have it come up? Yeah, it's not the same experience as working on hot press. It's very cottony and kind of fluffy. That being said, you can work on both sides, so that's kind of a plus regardless of the paper. Okay, now her little head is so freaking cute. So I'm gonna just do like a big oval for her head. See how my fountain pen is sinking in so much? That's because the paper is a little too soft. And that's why I choose hot press for these. Okay, and then we're gonna have a super skinny neck. And I'm just gonna jump right into these eyes. The eyes are hilarious. So she's got like one crazy big eye right here, and then she has like a half of an eye right here, and that's because the hat should be slicing across like that. Yeah, my fountain pen is having trouble on the soft paper. Okay, and then I'm gonna put one little dot in here and then one over here, which is hilarious. And then this too is so funny. Like just having just a line for kind of the nose and the mouth really just gives it a really true expression, doesn't it? Okay, now the hat is super wonky and adorable, so I'm just gonna start with the one. I'm struggle bussing to make marks on this paper. If that happens, again, I think it is the paper. I actually just wet the nib in some just water, and I'm gonna curly cue it around like this. And then we have the other side of the witch's hat, which kind of comes up. Right, and I'm being super scrabbly. And I'm just gonna make it have one top because the two is weird. The belt buckle, why not? That's just a square and inside another square with lines on either side. We could do a buckle. That's easy. All right, now her body, also so freaking adorable. We're just gonna put a little neck on like this. And then we're gonna bring her dress down on either side and float it around. And there's definitely these designs in it. So I'm gonna put those in as well. And my lines are super sketchy and uneven, and it kind of matches the craziness of this. All right, we got this. All right, now we have these silly little triangle legs, which we can put far apart or together. And then there's kind of like little ties or stockings, and then they kind of just flare out to the left. I'm just gonna make mine like triangles basically. All right, and then she's got some grass around her legs like this. The whole thing is very scrabbly. Okay, and you can redraw any lines. Oh, we haven't done her hair or the back of her hat either. So for her hair, let's see, it just comes down out of the hat in many layers. Lots of lines. And then her hat, look how far up my hat is. So far, and I'm just gonna like make it end right there. Oh, right. So we have our preliminary drawing done. I don't have a lot of ink coming out, I think because that paper is a little funky. Okay, so then the next thing we do is we just activate all our lines with the water. So you take your little water brush and you give it a little squeeze, and the water will come down and drip into the tip. Okay, and then what I normally do is I just trace my lines And see how it turns into watercolor. It just kind of melts the lines. And weirdly, it's not melting the ones up on top. I don't know why. It should react all this way, as you're seeing under her hat. That's very interesting. Maybe there's just not enough ink coming out of that pen. I'm going to trace around her eyes. You can even give her like little cheeks. But it should activate with the water. So that was a fine nib. As I mentioned, it was thinner than the ones I was using. This one is a medium nib, but I mean, there's such a small difference. I didn't think it would actually matter, but it looks like it does because so little ink came out that my brush doesn't even want to move it. Which means I'm just gonna have to bring out the big guns. That is so crazy. It really does not want to move very much. It should actually move quite a bit. So, see like it did on her cheek over here? That is how it should be kind of everywhere. So we can make this part more shady. I'm just blending out the lines. You can also be ready with a little tissue on the side here if you want to pick up anything. You can. And that is what we do for all of the 31 drawings. Now, like this, I think I'm going to add another layer. I want more movement, so that means I need to add more ink down on my paper. So I'm actually going to do it while it's still wet because I want it to move. Okay, so more ink equals more movement when you add the water. I could also give her some, like, how cute would it be to give her like little striped stockings. So a lot of times on all of them, and you'll see this in the book form too, is that we do the first layer and we activate the ink with the water, and then we will go back and usually it will actually wash away a lot of the lines. And then we'll go back and draw back in the ones that we've lost. Here we go. Now you can see it's moving a lot more when we add the water. So a fine nib is a good thing if you're nervous. Less ink coming out and less movement may make you feel a little bit safer, actually. Whereas me, I'm like, come on, where is it? But yeah, redrawing is super fun. I mean, it's a cute little journal. It's a little too soft. I don't believe that it is. But you still need watercolor paper if you're working with any wet material. So, and just to touch base really quickly on these other instruments that I was talking about. So if we wanted to do a big area that was super black, I would do that with my pocket Pentel brush pen. I'm not going to do it because it actually doesn't look, it's a little out of place. But you could use this to add really big lines. And then I always have a white nearby in case we need to add highlights over anything. All right, so we're just doing 31 days of cute little characters like this. And if you want to come along and join the fun, I'll leave a link in the description. All right, and that, my friends, is that. I will have to say, I'll just end by saying, a lot of people get really freaked out of going in without pencil, but the confidence that they gain after doing it for a month is crazy, crazy cool. So highly recommend betting on yourself, coming and having fun with us today. Come and draw and make painterly Halloween stuff with us. It's so fun. All right, everyone, I will see you for another video super soon. Okay, bye.